Welcome back to the weekly Bitcoin.com news show. My name is Corbin Fraser. Today is Friday, September 25th, 2020, and we've got more Bitcoin news for you today, including 1,500 Bitcoin are lost every day and less than 14 million will ever circulate. Public company Microstrategy buys $175 million worth of Bitcoin in just 74 hours. Blockchain patents skyrocket in 2020, and Alibaba owns the most crypto patents. And a leak of documents shows trillions of dollars of illegal activity at major banks. Let's go to the top story here. 1,500 Bitcoin are lost every day and less than 14 million will ever circulate. So a fella named Timothy Peterson, a cryptocurrency analyst at Cane Island Alternative Advisors, claims that 1,500 Bitcoin are lost each day, stating that only 14 million BTC will ever actually circulate. This is something that we hear from time to time, and some estimate that 20% of mined Bitcoin is actually lost forever. For example, the 1.1 million BTC that was mined by Satoshi Nakamoto has never been moved, and most people actually consider that to be out of circulation. So some ways that Bitcoin is commonly lost are Bitcoin misplacing of private keys, and just people, they don't write down those 12 to 24 words, lose them, and the money's gone. People often forgetting that they even own cryptocurrency. They may have mined it or purchased it ages ago and just lost track of it. And unfortunately, people dying and their loved ones not having access to those wallet funds. So that's another fairly common one that, someone may have purchased a large amount of Bitcoin, and unfortunately, after deceasing, didn't properly leave their keys with someone, or basically lost forever. So Bitcoin not being recoverable when lost is actually a feature. It's not a bug, and speaks to the security of the Bitcoin network. The great news is that there's many ways to keep your cryptocurrency safe, and the user experience for storing crypto is getting much better each day, which is always a good thing for ordinary users. And although there are custodial services, which means that someone will hold your crypto for such as exchanges or often popular kind of custodial services such as Coinbase, we generally consider custodial services to be less secure places to store your assets. They can often be targeted by hackers. If you have to think about, what's a robber going to do? Are they going to go rob a bank or just one person on the street? There's a little bit more incentive to go after the big bank and the one with the big giant honeypot. So we typically recommend that you store your cryptocurrency in a non-custodial wallet. Obviously, the Bitcoin.com wallet is just that, so go check that out at wallet.bitcoin.com. It supports BTC, supports BCH, supports SLP tokens, supports stablecoins. It's a great wallet. The guys that work on it are just tremendous. Huge shout out to everyone that contributes to that project. And just remember that there's always, just always back up those keys, guys. Don't be a part of this missing Bitcoin. When you create a new wallet, take the 5 minutes just to back up those keys, back up the private 12-word mnemonics. And if anything happens to your device, you drop it in water, you lose it at a party, it smashes. At least you can still recover those coins, and you're not left kind of wondering, oh man, I wonder what those are going to be worth in a few years. So an announcement on the non-custodial aspect of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin.com wallet will actually soon have a new feature. It's the ability to back up your wallet to the cloud, to Google Drive or iCloud account. This is an encrypted file that allows you to easily back up your wallets without having to take that extra time to write down the 12 words. Now, personally, I would recommend doing both. Obviously, it's always great to have that redundancy in the off chance that Google or your iCloud is ever compromised, or in the off chance that you just don't have access to it, and at least you still have those 12-word backups. But the good thing is having those cloud backups just makes things a lot easier for ordinary users who are just maybe dabbling in Bitcoin for the first time and only have $20. $20 lost is still not a great feeling if you ever do lose that. So just making this whole process easier is something we've been really working hard at, and the whole Bitcoin.com wallet team have been working around the clock for the last month and a half, just really making sure that the whole user experience for cloud backups are really simple. So obviously for ordinary users, this is a huge win. For the hardcore crypto files, I think, obviously you're probably going to continue to use Ledger and maybe hardware wallets and paper wallets and things like that. But for ordinary users just kind of getting into the space, easy to use cloud backup feature is just paramount for onboarding more users into Bitcoin. So go check that out, wallet.bitcoin.com. It should be available early next week. It might even already be available in your region. We're doing kind of a phased rollout, so go check that out. And next up, we've got a big message here for From the public company Microstrategy, they bought $175 million worth of Bitcoin in just 74 hours. So Microstrategy, a company listed on NASDAQ, bought 17,000 Bitcoins during a 74-hour trading spree this week. The company CEO Michael Saylor used to be skeptical of Bitcoin, but decided to move heavily into cryptocurrency earlier this year. He said that Bitcoin is an anti-fragile, evolving thing, and that's harder than gold. And when asked about Bitcoin's volatility, Saylor said that he prefers volatility to a negative yield, and added that he was inspired to act by the ethos of the Bitcoin community. MicroStrategy made history this year by being the first publicly traded company to move significant assets into Bitcoin. I suspect we're going to see more and more companies such as this, making these kind of hedges against fiat. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. As private banks continue to print more money and inflate your currency, all of your savings are worth less the more they print. It's a game show where it really screws you, so go check that out. Next up, we've got Alibaba Group leads corporate patent filings for blockchain technology in 2020. So Alibaba Group has filed more blockchain patents than any other company in 2020, capturing 10 times more patents than IBM, the next on the list, and Alibaba now has over 1,500 patents related to the blockchain. A recent study shows a trend where Fortune 500 companies are filing more and more patents than smaller companies, even compared to companies whose main focus is actually blockchain tech. More patents have been filed in the first 9 months of 2020 than in all of 2019, and it's a clear sign that big business is seriously looking at leveraging the power of blockchain moving forward. I kind of find this interesting that it's these big businesses that are trying to scoop up all the patents, where it's like typically the small startups that are actually contributing to the open source projects and contributing to these different, kind of more open platforms. But I guess that's a good sign for the whole. Are the bulls coming back? Is this the bull market? I mean, just based on patent filings alone, it seems like big businesses are getting into it. You've got these big companies like MicroStrategy, scooping up, monster bags. So it's an interesting observation. So go check that out. Read more about this type of news over at news.bitcoin.com, where we've got all of the exciting updates about Fortune 500 companies getting involved and all the chaos around crypto. Next up, we've got a massive data leak. Document leak shows trillions of dollars of illegal activity at major banks. So a massive leak of 2,100 documents shows that multinational banks such as JP Morgan and HSBC help bad actors launder and move massive sums of money. JP Morgan, the largest bank in the US, has served people and companies responsible for looting public funds in Malaysia, Venezuela, Ukraine, and as well as supporting some drug cartels as well as mobsters. So the banks named in the leak are responsible for more than $2 trillion in fraudulent activity since the year 2000. Seen by the government as too big to fail, the banks are clearly free to engage in illegal activities that would land any of the rest of us in prison for a lifetime. Very, very, very strange kind of behavior from these banks who tout that they're much more secure and safe and regulated than the wild, wild west of crypto. So go check that out. Read more about that at news.bitcoin.com. Banks are goofy. They're in it for themselves. It is what it is. Buy more crypto. I think hedging against these banks that are typically doing the things that they often tout are, being done on crypto is, this is what it is, guys. This is Bitcoin. Enjoy it. Enjoy the chaos while it's still young. We are still very early in this big change for money to become more hard, for cryptocurrency to become more easy, and for finance, the general financial markets just to kind of evolve with cryptocurrency and adapt. I think what we're going to see is that those banks that just don't adapt, they won't survive, and crypto's here to stay. So that's very exciting stuff. We've got a couple comments from previous videos. We've got one from Lots and Lots. Hey guys, could you please make a video or mention about the upcoming split? For example, simpletons like me, we have a big bag of BCH on Binance. If I support BCH, what am I meant to be doing with the stash? Keep it as it is or receive ABC coins also? If BCH loses the battle and I have my BCH in Binance, do they change the name? A little confusing for me. I can trade, but I have zero clue about the tech. That's a good question. My personal recommendation, and this is again personal, not trading advice, but I mean, for those who do want to just kind of see what happens, obviously if you do have Bitcoin Cash, if there is a split and if these two chains diverge to a point where both of them exist and are traded on a public market, then anyone holding Bitcoin Cash prior to November 15th will actually receive both versions of Bitcoin Cash, whether that's Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Cash ABC or Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Cash N or whatever they're calling it. Someone's going to probably end up with the Bitcoin Cash ticker, the BCH ticker, whichever one that is. I think that all depends on hash rate and as well as a little bit of, market consensus. There's some interesting things. CoinEx is doing some, interesting futures trading for that. I believe CoinFlex is as well. So there's a few different markets out there. There's also some online gaming sites where people can take bets on who's going to win this thing. But for ordinary traders, I think, that just depends on your risk tolerance. Some people, I think the previous fork, what we saw is a lot of people started buying Bitcoin Cash prior to November 15th. And then obviously trying to get in on the airdrop, as they like to call it, of the split. I think some people who are maybe more gun shy about forks may end up actually trading out of Bitcoin Cash beforehand and maybe, moving into some other asset temporarily, whether that's stable coins or whether that's BTC or whether that's Ethereum or something like that. So I think it just depends on what you're into. Politics aside into this whole Bitcoin Cash ABC versus Bitcoin Cash N or BCHN, I don't really have too much of a dog in that fight. I'm observing it. I'm kind of trying to stay as neutral as possible and just seeing what's going on. And I think that's probably the best thing for average people. I think if you get caught down, some of these rabbit holes of Reddit and Twitter and things like that, it's very easy to kind of join a tribe and, all of a sudden you might be stuck with it. And I think if you're an investor, trading ideologically doesn't always play out. I think sometimes the market does things you don't want it to do, and I think you just have to be prepared for that. So obviously trade carefully, don't invest what you're not willing to lose, and have a little fun. November 15th is going to be a little bit of a rodeo, I think, but for the average user, it's probably not going to be too impactful. It's going to be maybe 12 to 24 hours of what's going on there, and then quickly things will just, sort themselves out, is at least my understanding of the situation. But any Bitcoin Cash followers, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your take on this, and of course, feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to have you, maybe show up in the next little comment section on the next video, and make sure you like, subscribe. Of course, check out our Twitter account at Bitcoin.com, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.